BRICS destroys the US dollar with new currency. With the intention of surpassing the US dollar as the most dominant currency in the world, the new world currency reserve at the BRICS will eliminate the US dollar. The most powerful countries in the world have joined forces with a few international leaders to form the BRICS, a new currency. This new currency, which will be created by member countries including Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, will compete directly with the US dollar to become the accepted standard and most utilized currency worldwide. Because of this, the US dollar will soon face a serious threat from the new currency if it succeeds in devaluing the US dollar. Welcome to Geopolitics and Money, the channel where you can learn about financial markets and the economy. In today's video, we'll see how the BRICS destroy the US dollar with their new currency. Before getting into the video, please share and subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. Also, tap on the bell icon for notifications. Without further ado, let's get into it. In order to construct the new currency that will take the place of the US dollar as the world reserve currency, an alliance of nations has been cooperating. The holders of the world's most potent currencies must be our first stop when starting out. Members of the G7 are the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, and the European Union, a collaboration between several important global economies. Prior to that, it was called the G8, however it was renamed the G7 in 2014 after Russia's membership was revoked due to the annexation of Crimea, encouraging deeper political and economic ties among its members. In addition to guaranteeing that its currency remains the most potent globally among the top 6 trading currencies in the world, the G7 aspires to retain the West's supremacy in the global power structure. The US dollar is the most valuable of the 5 currencies used by the G7 countries. The G7 principally wants the US dollar to remain the most powerful currency in the world because, if it does, the other G7 currencies would probably follow, sustaining the West's overall supremacy. Yet BRICS is directly accountable if the G7's firm hold on the world economy begins to unravel. BRICS, an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, is the greatest threat to the G7, which is made up of the 7 major rising economies in the world. There isn't much of a threat to the West from countries and cosmetics BRICS, but things start to look very different when they are combined. Around 40% of the world's population and 31.5% of its gross domestic product are now made up of BRICS countries. The IMF does, however, forecast that by 2030, the BRICS would account for half of global GDP. Without accounting for any prospective new members, that's just 8 years away. Iran may soon join the BRICS, and recently Argentina officially joined. Turkey is also expected to do so soon. The combined power of the BRICS nations poses a serious danger to Western dominance, and Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and other nations are considering joining them. It would seem that these nations are aware of this because the US dollar is their main aim. Every year, the BRICS nations meet to debate the potential future of a cooperative alliance. In June of this year, during the 14th annual summit, the BRICS detonated a financial bomb on the US dollar. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, presented plans for the BRICS alliance to create a new global reserve currency that would be used as the norm in South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and any other nations that would join the group. The US dollar is currently referred to as the world's reserve currency and is used in the vast majority of international trade. It accounts for over 40% of all global trade and is used almost entirely for buying and selling crude oil. This means that every country needs to acquire and hold US dollars. The United States is the only nation with the ability to control the creation and destruction of this money. To put it another way, the United States may print more money if it has to import more commodities, exporting its inflation to other parts of the world. Since the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, the U.S. has possessed enormous power over the rest of the globe. Yet if the US dollar loses its status as a reserve currency, it might destroy the nation, a goal that the Bush administration seems to be pursuing relentlessly. In light of Putin's statement, how will the new currency function? Before continuing the video, subscribe to our channel and click the like button. Also, enable the bell icon for more exciting videos like this. Moving on. The new currency would act as a sort of basket that combined the values of the currencies of the 5 BRICS countries, making it more decentralized and stable than the US dollar. It's also conceivable that the BRIC currency will be backed by gold in order to offer it even more stability. Ever since the first BRIC summit, the 5 member nations have purchased gold, increasing their stock by thousands of people every year. This does not even take into account the recent finding of up to $12 trillion worth of more gold in Uganda, which is more gold than the existing world supply for the first time in 50 years. We might be able to create a new currency that is backed by objectives, which would make it the most valuable currency in the world very quickly. But China will be the one that mines these new resources the majority of the time. Particularly if this currency were backed by gold, it would be bad news for the West's power to influence world trade. The future of the global economy would be better controlled by these 5 nations. They would not need to acquire or hold US dollars if the BRICS currency were to be adopted, and they would be able to have a greater impact on global trade. The United States would lose all control over the BRICS nations' currencies and its ability to easily impact their economies. Additionally, it would bring about a level of economic stability for the United States that is nearly unheard of. For instance, if South Africa's economy were to decline on its own, the BRICS currency could still rely on the stability of the other 4. The British pound may therefore be far more stable than the US dollar. To put it another way, it would become a lot more desirable for other countries to trade with it in some of the BRICS. The Chinese yuan may eclipse the American dollar soon, but the supremacy of Western money has already been in jeopardy, and that threat came relatively recently in history. On March 19, 2011, a coalition headed by NATO carried out an operation in Libya. Although France and the US were its 2 main leaders, divorce was made up of many different nations. The UN Security Council asserts that the intervention was humanitarian in nature and was done to prevent Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya, from committing suspected crimes against humanity and to prevent the outbreak of a new civil war. It is entirely tied to money and power, but there is a chance that other factors led to the invasion of Libya. Prior to the US invasion of Libya, there were reports that Gaddafi wanted to unite Africa and the US. The State Department made available unclassified correspondence that supported this claim. To do this, he planned to design a brand new African currency. The power of Europe and Africa might have been seriously threatened by this new currency, the African dinar, which is backed by gold. This is due to the fact that the CFA franc has been used as the official currency of more than a dozen Francophone African nations, both then and now. As a result of the CFA franc's link to the euro, Europe has significant economic sway over the euro's adopting nations. The colonies of the Roman Empire included these nations. The countries that use it must also have sizable deposits in the French treasury. Even though none of us individually possesses the might of a country, its strength would still derive from the fact that it would be dispersed over the economies of several nations rather than just one. The steps the BRICS are taking to stabilize and diversify our assets are for all of us to gain from. U.S. sanctions have disconnected Russia from the SWIFT network. With the BRICS partnership and the current sanctions against Russia, these nations are looking to develop their own payment system, which coincides nicely with the new ISO 20022 standard entering into force in November of this year, and the progress of CBDCs being implemented globally for the majority of central banks. The new reserve currency hasn't been named or recognized specifically, but it's very probable that it will take the shape of a CBDC that the BRICS countries are a part of, along with their very own SWIFT, which is also very likely to take the form of a CBDC or intermediary digital currency. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to receive notifications. Also, express your valuable thoughts in the comment section below. Until then, bye! Also spend some time watching other videos on the channel.